The IDB says Guyana will need to invest some $35 million in a generation plant to become more energy efficient in the next decade.
The 9 employees dismissed by the Guyana Power and Light Company in 2005 and 2006 will resume work next Tuesday.
And a term of resumption has been signed by representatives from the Ministry of Labor, the Guyana Public Service Union and the Wisma Hospital.
GD News eye on the judiciary viewpoint on the latest sporting action in the Diamond Mineral Water and NCN Sport News and more after these. Stay tuned. Good evening, I am Janelle Persaud.
And I'm Delicia Fletcher.
With this edition of the 6 o'clock news for today, Tuesday, September 16, 2008. Delicia?
Thank you, Janelle. If Guyana is to become more energy efficient by 2018, it would need to invest some $35 million in a generation plant to produce some 105 gigawatts of electricity. This was highlighted in the Inter-American Development Bank survey on energy productivity in the Americas. Here are details.
The Inter-American Development Bank survey estimates the productivity of energy use and compares price for electricity, gasoline and diesel in 24 Latin American and Caribbean countries. According to the survey, Guyana's energy concentration indicator is 8.7 and is by far the highest in Latin America and the Caribbean, which means this country does not make efficient use of its energy. According to the document, prices for diesel and gasoline are a little above the average price in the region, while the cost for electricity is the second highest. The IDB further indicates that for Guyana to improve its energy efficiency by 10% over the next 10 years, it would save an equivalent of 105 gigawatts per hour of electricity annually. The survey says if Guyana's energy cost continues to increase at an average of 3.5% annually and the country does not become more energy efficient, it will need to build an additional generation plant to produce some 105 gigawatts per hour of electricity. Guyana therefore has two options, either to invest in efficient light bulbs, electric motors and other measures, which will be about $12 million, or build a plant which will cost $39 million, excluding the cost of operation and fuel. On the contrary, the Cuban government, in collaboration with Guyana, started a campaign to replace fluorescent lamps with energy-saving bulbs. Most households across the country have already been fitted with these energy-saving lamps. The Guyana Power and Light Company has also started a campaign urging customers to conserve on electricity use. Guyana has also constructed the Skeldon Sugar Modernization Project, which will generate another 15 megawatts of electricity. The oil-wealthy Trinidad and Tobago tops the IDB survey as the country with the cheapest electricity cost, with Argentina, Venezuela, Paraguay and Bolivia, all oil-producing nations, occupying the other spots. Edward Lane, the 6 o'clock news.
In the meantime, discussions are ongoing to have the Mokomoko hydro plant located in the Kanaku Mountains to become operational again. NCN's Akil Jacob spoke with Prime Minister Samuel Hines.
Prime Minister Samuel Hines says government is negotiating with a Brazilian firm for a 35-year contract to repair and run the Mokomoko hydro plant located in the Kanaku Mountains. He says once the hydro plant becomes operational again, it will boost the electricity capacity in Lethem.
A Brazilian group that does small hydros visited the area and they put a proposal that they would repair it and sell power to Lethem at a certain price for a period of time. Just a bit under 10 cents a kilowatt hour and maybe for up to 35 years.
The Prime Minister pointed out that inflation rate is likely to impact domestic charges in the future. He says this is because of the long-term nature of the contract.
They're offering us about 10 cents, $20 a kilowatt hour. So on the one hand, it's quite interesting. On the other hand, it's for a long time, 35 years, and there is some escalation clause there for inflation. It's indexed. We're in the process of discussing with them so that maybe we can get a tight agreement.
According to Prime Minister Hines, this offer is much improved since diesel will also be used to generate power to Lethem, which costs about $60 to $70 a kilowatt per hour. He anticipates that the negotiations will be finalized within a month. In 2000, the Chinese government had built a hydro plant, but 3 years later, there was a slide on the mountain face. It would have cost the government close to $600 million to have it repaired. Reporting for the NCN News, Akila Jacobs.
Nurses from the Wisma Hospital in Linden say they will not resume duty until progress is made in meeting their security demands. The healthcare workers refused to sign a terms of resumption from the health, labor and regional officials yesterday. Details from Monica Jones.
Up to late yesterday, nurses from the Wisma Hospital maintained that they will not end their protest until several demands were met. The healthcare workers were protesting working and security conditions following the robbery and sexual assault of one of their colleagues. During a meeting at the hospital yesterday, Minister within the Ministry of Health, Dr. Barry Ramsaran, says the ministry has recognized the workers' concern and will address them.
Security was inadequate because, as they put it, the contractor had old ladies guarding them, and sometimes they would be sleeping. That's selling it as I bought it for my way would say, right? Secondly, that they wanted some police presence. In other words, this incident had brought to the fore other weaknesses of the system, right? That they were not only were these people inadequate in terms of their preparation, being old and female, so they wanted to have some stronger presence, physical security presence on the campus, on the hospital. Secondly, they were wanting to have the police provide some support, the Guyana Police Force to provide some support to the effort. And thirdly, the vexing issue of transportation home, especially in the nights, to the remote areas.
Despite the announcement that those concerns will be met, the nurses insist that they will not return to work until they see progress.
We want an armed police station in our compound. Just like how GPHC has a mobile unit, we want a mobile unit also.
Meanwhile, when asked by Dr. Ramsaran whether the recommended measures have been put in place, he was told that progress has been made.
Armed security, we made here at that location. We have also released the health bus to avail itself to the direction of the upper in the evening period. We have also engaged the police and asked them for additional or up surveillance in that area. We were told that even at the time, soon after, they were such an activity, but they have since beefed up maybe in irregularity from the Superintendent of Police, Mr. Tinneman. As far as the administration is aware, we have moved to those two direction given to us.
Yesterday, the health workers refused to sign the terms of resumption from the health, labor and regional officials, saying that they would prefer to see more of their concerns addressed. The draft terms of resumption recommends that nurses resume duties with the view that the parties involved would meet within 4 days of resumption to discuss other issues. Monica Jones, the 6 o'clock news.
And the news just coming to hand, the terms of resumption has been signed by representatives of the Ministry of Labor, the Guyana Public Service Union and the Wisma Hospital. It was agreed that the strike will be called off on September 17 on the 7 to 15-hour shift with full resumption within 48 hours. The security concerns will be addressed within 3 days, which include adequate lighting and transportation for the night shift workers to their homes. The parties will meet within 4 days to discuss other issues such as traveling subsistence and shift arrangements. An armed guard will be instituted for the duration of the 22 to 6-hour shift from September 17.